It did not tell me that it's recording, but I have the option to pause or stop, so we'll go with that. Welcome, my name is Meredith Newman. I am the membership manager on staff at AGA National. I'm super excited to be with you all today. And on a personal note, as of last night, I am also a full-time student. So I did go to class last night, and I've told a couple coworkers I was amazed that so few of my classmates even had a pen with them, because when I did high school and undergrad, we took notes on paper. And everything last night was on the computer. So suffice to say, it is different now. Thanks, Alice. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Gen Z. Gen Z is currently ages 13 to 28, and it is true. You've probably heard, Gen Z doesn't like boomers or Gen X or you name it. There's a lot of slander about Gen Z and Gen Z roasting other generations, but this is not unique. If you think back to when you were a teen, early 20s, this happens with every generation. We hear it all of the time. So research around Gen Z indicates they stereotypically value work-life balance, giving back to their community, and securing their future in an uncertain world. Careers in government fit well with those values. We just need to build awareness among them. And on that note, I was at BAP last week, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. BAP is a International Honor Society for students studying financial information. And they always ask, how come I've never heard of this before? They're so heavily courted by the CPA firms that have big marketing budgets, and the Department of Treasury doesn't have a marketing budget to get on campus and recruit students the same way that the Big Four do. So in my experience, they are surprised to hear about their alternatives to CPA and regular public accounting track, but pleasantly surprised. So I am going to start us out here with some tough questions, and I'm almost as uncomfortable asking them as you might be hearing them. But my first one is, why should students engage with your chapter? Is your chapter a value add? I am going to ask you to put in the chat, if you already know why students should engage with your chapter, go ahead and throw that in the chat for me. Not everybody all at once. All right, networking, succession planning, build a network. Yes, you are exactly right. We have a network. Yes, it's free. That's great. Alternatives, yep. Networking is exactly where I was going with that. AJ is a network of professionals doing something that those students probably want to do, or they wouldn't be engaging with us. And so that's the main thing you have to offer. Is networking. And once they get there and they meet your network, they will want to stay around, but you have that value to add already. And what can students expect when they arrive at your chapter event? So for both of these, if these made you feel a little uncomfortable, like, well, I don't know why students should engage, let's meet offline and work towards a yes. I'm going to put a link in the chat. If I can get to the chat while I'm talking. Yep. So that will take you to a page where you can book time with myself, with Dana, with both of us. We would love to talk more with you about your student strategy if you would like. And both of these questions I'm asking in the context of students, but they both really apply for everyone. So going back to the second chapter, what can they expect when they arrive at your event? You may remember walking into the high school cafeteria on the first day, or if you went to a new school, it's intimidating, and they may feel that way when they arrive at your chapter event, especially if it's the first time they are coming to see you. So just a suggestion I thought of, I attended a DC chapter event a while ago, and they offered a scavenger hunt specifically for young professionals that would lower the barrier to speak to those VIPs in the room that they might be intimidated to talk to. And so it just had go ask so-and-so about their favorite color, or find the chapter president. And it gave them something to do so that they weren't standing in the corner. Of course, not required, just a way to get them, a little bit warmed up, kind of an icebreaker. So yeah, meeting chapter leaders and introduction to other members, that's exactly the networking I'm talking about. So your network is a value add for students. It's very valuable, and the way AGA is structured, you are set up to provide that network to them. I'm going to talk a little bit about Beta Alpha Psi. AGA is a professional partner and pays professional partner dues annually to be a professional partner of Beta Alpha Psi. I mentioned it earlier, but it is an international honor organization for financial information students and professionals. They have 300 chapters, more than 300, I think it's 311, and 299 of those are in the US. As I mentioned, they are international. We are not attending their events in New Zealand and Australia, maybe someday, not this day. So there is a lot that National can do with BAP National, but that's not where the partnership stops. Since they have so many chapters, there is sure to be one near you. I did already mention this, that many students think of CPA as their only option. A lot of these BAP chapters have very regular meetings. Some of them meet even weekly, and they're always looking for guest speakers. Well, where can they easily find a guest speaker? That Big Four firm that was on campus at the career fair last week, they can ask them to come speak. So we have to get in front of them, and we have to make ourselves available and visible on campus. We're going to talk more about that. I mentioned they're always looking for speakers. Maybe speaking isn't your favorite thing, but you could work with someone else. You could speak with another chapter member. Maybe you can review resumes and support with mock interviews. I am going to pause here and throw it to John to talk a little bit more about our experience with BAP 2 weeks ago.
Well, thanks, Meredith. And I think one of the reasons we wanted to pause for a quick second is we want to make this as interactive and useful as the group as we can. And so the idea of what can you do today, leaving this webinar, to take a look at and know that the relationship Meredith talked about at the national level to Beta Alpha Psi National is there. So you've already got a barrier to entry that is sort of eliminated in that space. And Meredith and I had the chance to talk to students about our citizen-centric report, about careers in government, about the idea that there are certifications like the CGFM that they can pursue. And what we found is if you are a member of Beta Alpha Psi as a student, you are self-selecting, you're raising your hand to volunteer. The students had no problem coming up to our booth and saying, how can you help me get a job? Some were more eloquent than others in that.
Okay, I was wondering if it was just me. John, we suddenly can't hear you. We have some settings we can check. No. This would be a good Verizon commercial about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was John. All right. Something turned red. Do you want to try again? No, we cannot hear you now. All right, well, you come back and we'll throw it to you again if we can. I'm going to jump back to the slides. All right, so here is what I'm telling you about BAP, because it's a great way to meet students. There are so many steps in the process of engaging with students, and the first big barrier is, where do we find them? How do we meet them? How do we get in front of them? BAP chapter is a very, as John mentioned, they're self-selected, they're already interested. BAP does charge dues for students, so they have paid money to be part of BAP. So like he said, they're self-selected. You may also have a relationship with a professor. Career fair can be a great way to get on campus and meet students, especially if that school does not have a BAP chapter or it's not very active. And then also the Career Center. So as a little experiment, I chose the state of Oregon, where we do not currently have a chapter, because I'm not doing any of your homework. And I want to show you what I found in under 5 minutes. So BAP has a directory of their active chapters. If you Google BAP active chapters, it will come up, but I will also send you the link after this. And in the directory, there are 2 chapters in Oregon. So when I clicked on the first one, it takes me to this on the BAP page. That takes me to their website. From there, I can also find their socials. From their website, I can determine their faculty advisor, and I could Google her email address, but I'm not doxing her online. The BAP site also has a listing of their upcoming events. I did look at this yesterday. They're already updated for the fall semester, even though they're just starting back. So these are 2 separate events, Meet the Firms and Career Fairs, where if a chapter were to go have a table at those events, you would reach more than just the BAP students. It would be all the students attending that Meet the Firm and Career Fair. Lots of networking events. And the weekly BAP meetings, if they're looking for a speaker every week, they want to hear from you. So from there, I jumped over to the Schools Career Center. And they've got this happening multiple times throughout the semester where I'm sure you could volunteer to review resumes and do mock interviews and things like that. So that was only one of the 2 BAP chapters in Oregon, and this gives me plenty of action items just on this one campus. So it's it is accessible to become visible on campus and be someone that they are familiar with. John, can we hear you now? No, we cannot hear you now. Okay. So you may prefer to meet faculty first. Again, BAP chapters got faculty advisors for every chapter. That's a great in. Again, those are listed on the BAP websites. The American Accounting Association is the parent organization for BAP, and I think we've got, I don't know if she's on this call, but Christine Kuglin is a very active member in AGA, who also is very active in American Accounting Association. The American Accounting Association has a resource called the Hasselback Accounting Faculty Directory. Schools are required every year to update who they have in this directory, and it's all accounting faculty, as the name suggests. So it's a great resource. It's got their email address. If they, what sort of level are they? An adjunct? Are they, the chair of the whole department? It's got a lot of information on there. Again, all these links will come to you after. We've got our higher education committee who can help you make connections. Maybe they know someone at a university near you. As a former teacher myself, I would love to hear from a former student. So your alma mater, even if you haven't talked to them in a very long time, reach out. They may love to hear from you.
Meredith, do you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
The Verizon commercial is back. You've done a great job sort of setting the stage for a lot of the conversation that was there. I would just add that I think one of the elements we're interested in doing and sort of floating to this group is how can we more intentionally connect with students at their chapters. And so I know Ethan's on the line and we're going to tee him up here in a minute or two, but sort of thinking about it from when someone raises their hand and says, I want to know more, how do you actually bring that human being into our network and help foster it? And one of the examples that I think we'd share from the conference is we had at least 1 or 2 students walk by our table 3 times before they said hello to us. And it was sort of like they were gearing up for the courage to say hi in that space. And so then we had ones that would come right up and say hi, and some that would immediately follow us up on LinkedIn. And so the wide range of engagement, in particular for 18, 19, 20-year-olds as to how they're learning that space and entering the conversation. And then even those that were in maybe second careers who had just left in one case, a federal job, trying to find a new space in there. They needed an ear just to listen to talk about what they're thinking about. And so all those roles are really important, but they take time. And we know you're volunteers, your chapters are volunteers. And so how do we help set the right expectation for what success is? Not every student who reaches out to you will come back. I've got several professors on there. Some of them don't even show up for a class. And so there's sort of balancing that reality for what a relationship and partnership can look like, and giving some structure around it and opportunities for those students to check a box of they've done something and they're back in there and create sustainability is a lot of the discussion we're having.
Yes, and you read my mind. We are going to turn it over to Ethan Drapes from Idaho Centennial Chapter. He had a great meeting last week.
Hi, yeah. So Meredith asked me to kind of talk about what we have going on in Idaho right now. So we had a NASDAQ conference last week, so John got to come out, and we went to lunch with the head of the Masters of Public Administration program at Boise State University. Kind of the way I got introduced with him is I actually got an MPA. So like Meredith said, just check back in with your former teachers. They love to hear from you, see what you got going on, and they're really taking interest in what their students end up going out to do. So the original ask that we had with him was just like, hey, we're this organization. We are focused on government professionals. We used to be a lot in the accounting world, and we're trying to branch out. So we thought that AGA and the Masters of Public Administration program could get together and try and do some things there. So that's really all we asked, and then we went to lunch with them, and we kind of talked about what our organization was doing and what their organization or what their program's trying to get to. I think the biggest thing that came out of that meeting is what students are looking for more than just getting a textbook education is they want like real life experiences and projects that they can do. So one of the things we're going to try to get working with them is like I think we talked about the CCR and getting students involved in that, seeing what happens there. And the other thing is we're trying to kind of get a collaboration going with our government professionals to see if there's any work that they have that they need to do, and not necessarily the budget to do it, but Boise State has all these students that can do the work for us. So we're trying to mesh those two parts where we have the work and they have the kids, and we're trying to get them together to work together and get something more than just an education. And you don't have to have John come out to your chapter to meet with these people. Another way that we've gone about in Idaho is we had a speaker from Boise State come to our PDT. So I just kind of chatted up with him after the his talk and was like, "Hey, we're AGA. I know you. I think when we went, it was about 2 weeks of governmental accounting. I'd love to come and chat with your class about governmental accounting and what that entails." He wasn't the right person, but he directed me to the teacher that did those governmental accounting classes. So I think in October, we are on the date to go talk with the undergraduate accounting students at Boise State about governmental accounting.
Thanks, Ethan. That's incredible. So many different opportunities that came out of, one or two asks, and you didn't get discouraged after the first one. So if you're listening to all of this and thinking, I want to do that, I'm not ready to, send me an email and we will put together a little group of folks that want to work together on making that happen in your chapter. So there's my email address. Again, all this will come to you in an email after the town hall. So you've gotten on campus. What are you going to talk to them about? Ethan really referred to this a lot, the symbiotic relationship. You have something to offer. Yes, you may get some intern labor, some free labor out of them because they're interested, but you're really offering them even more with those opportunities to see real world examples. So you just have to know what AGA has to offer, the value proposition. We have so many opportunities exclusively for students at the national level, from monetary scholarships to training scholarships, academic competitions with cash prizes, and a head start on CGFM. So you can tell the first three of those are money. Students do not have a lot of money, and they always want to know how they can get some or some more. Yes, there's a lot to remember about AGA. If you remember just scholarships and competitions, that is enough to talk to students. That's usually enough to get them to connect with you on LinkedIn or give their email address. So I'm going to talk briefly about national academic scholarships. These applications are open in late spring. The money does go directly to the registrar's office, so it is not cash in their pocket. But we do have different scholarships for freshmen, undergrad, grad students, and there's a community service scholarship that is not limited to any particular, freshman, undergrad, graduate. It's a little broad, open more broadly. Some chapters do their own scholarship. That might be for tuition, it might be for training. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer to talk about some of our other incredible student programs.
Hi everyone. So I first want to talk about the National Collegiate Leadership Scholarship. So this opens up in October and ends in November. So it takes place at our NLT in February in DC every year. So it's for undergraduate students. Last year, I believe we had around 12 to 15 students come. and it's a great opportunity for them to come stay for the entire training. We pair them with a professional advisor, kind of to serve as their mentor, to lead them around, to help create those connections. Like Meredith mentioned earlier in the call, a lot of those students are actually a part of BAP at their college or university, so it's another great way to get them involved with AGA. So we offered that scholarship. Like I said, that's for NLT. And then we also have our early career training scholarship, and that is for those individuals who fall under the early career, so not for students. So for those who have graduated and they've started working, and this takes place at our PDT, which is in July every year, and a similar application process to the National Collegiate Leadership Scholarship. It's open for a short period of time. And then the main difference between the NLT and the PDT scholarship is that one is for full-time students and one is for those who have graduated. And then also the early career, we do match them with the advisor, to serve as that mentor role too, but it's a little bit less hands-on compared to the student. And then we have a few more. Mary can go to the next slide. Thank you. We have our government finance case challenge going on right now. So the application closes on September 14th. So this again is going out for outreach that we're asking for you. We have a couple of our members on our higher education committee call who've joined us this afternoon. So we really appreciate you guys coming. And one of the focuses of our higher education committee is getting students involved, and the case challenge is a great way for your students to be involved. If you're not familiar with the case challenge, they create a CCR report and also do a short video, and with the CCR we post it on our website. We also share it with either it's usually a state, city, or locality that we do. And then all the members of the winning team and their advisors, they each receive a check. Again, going back to what Meredith said about money. So the check for $1,500, which is really awesome. And then we also have our Datathon competition. This runs from September to December, and it also takes place at NLT. So we have at NLT, we have those national leadership scholars, and then we also have Datathon students. So it's a great blend of individuals that we have on site at NLT. Another great reason for you guys to be there and be there with your chapter. And difference between the case challenge and Datathon. The Datathon is more similar to like a hackathon, and they review data sets and use different use cases to apply them to, versus the government finance case challenge is just going through that either city, state, or locality. And then I think maybe we have one more slide of just some pictures.
Oh, yes. Yep. So these are our Datathon and NLT folks from, or NCLS folks from this past year, February. The difference between the government finance case challenge getting a $1,500 prize and the Datathon is $1,000 is the Datathon folks also, the finalists get to come to NLT, and I believe we support with their travel costs.
Yes. And it's a little bit of a shorter competition period time as well, and less involved with Datathon. They use the GitHub software platform to submit everything, versus the case challenge, we're having them create that whole 4-page CCR all on their own, and the video too. So
Jennifer, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask, when you get a chance, will you drop the link in the chat for where people can find more information online?
Yes.
I did not have it ready for today. So yeah, you can see there are a lot of different programs for students. Again, if you remember it as scholarships and competitions with cash prizes, that's usually enough to get their attention. We also offer another great part of our value proposition for students is that the application fee for CGFM is only $36. So for non-members, it's $120. If they join with their free student membership, it is only $36. And this is how I talk about it with students. It's like a CPA for government, although we are thinking more about that phrasing. It is the only certification that's for federal, state, and local. There are other certifications that address government financial management, but ours is the only one that covers all 3 levels. So that will give you the language and the knowledge, background knowledge, to have confidence in any room you walk into. So if you're working with somebody from the state and somebody from the local level and they're calling the same thing different things, you'll know how to kind of be the translator there. It is only 3 exams. We know that one of our competitors is 7 exams, which gets very costly. It's not on the slide, but all of our study materials are a la carte. So some different certifications, you have to buy everything. You buy the whole package, it's in or out. Ours is a la carte, so they can choose the study materials and methods that work best for them. And it's always easier to study when you are in study mode. So I tell all students to start now or close to graduation, stay in study mode, save money, and become a more attractive candidate to your future employer. Quick note here, to become a full CGFM, it is 2 years of work experience is required. But they can go ahead and work through the exams and tell their future employer, if you keep me around for 2 years, I'll be a CGFM and you didn't have to pay for it. So they usually like that one. So this is a lot of information. Let's talk a little bit about how we get it out there, because everyone is busy. One impression, whether that's an email or a social post, is definitely not enough. I did not apply to go back to school because I saw the ad for the free application one time. I probably saw it 7 times before I really thought about clicking on it and filling out that application. So we are going to need to communicate these things to students in multiple different ways. That does not mean send them 40 emails. There's a balance. But do they know where to find you? Same as we just put the link in the chat. If they meet you on campus and they forgot to get your email address or vice versa, can they Google you later? Can they find your information, especially if you have like a local chapter scholarship? Are you posting consistently? Are you posting with clarity? If I always have to click read more on all of your posts, I'm probably not doing that. So say what you want to say in the first few words, have that like headline, attention grabber. Of course, this could be a whole town hall. It is a whole town hall in and of itself to talk about communication. So again, you can use that booking link earlier in the chat, or it will be sent to you after if you want to talk about the cadence of your communication and methods, channels, all of that. But be thinking with your chapter executive committee, what are the calendar items that your chapter is doing that you think students will find most attractive, and how will you ensure their awareness? Again, this goes back to where you meet the faculty. Can you, communicate it to their professor or their BAP chapter faculty advisor? So that's a lot of stuff to do. We are trying to make it easier for you. We do have some resources available for you. Anything that is not currently in chapter resources, we will get there very soon. You may already know we are in a website transition, and while it looks great, we are still working through getting some of those pages added that aren't the main pages. So I prefer to use a Google form when I go on campus or go to BAP. We can get you a link to this where you can make a copy of it and use this exact one if you'd like. It only asks a few questions so that I can say, hey, answer these 5 questions. I'll email you more about our scholarships. It's name, are you a student, a professor, or something else? Your school email address, your personal email address, and then it's got check boxes. Send me more information about. And we've got scholarships, CGFM, my local AGA chapter. You might want to take that one off since you are the local AGA chapter, but lots of different things so they but they do have the ability to say, this is the part that I'm interested in. Or maybe it's just, I want to get a guest speaker to come to my club and I'm not filling out any of the rest of it. Then you know how much you want to engage with that particular individual. Yes, the responses to your Google form go in a spreadsheet. No, I do not have access to it. So please, if you get those names and you'd like them set up with a free student membership or professor membership, go ahead and download the spreadsheet, send me a copy of it. Or I think you can send it through Google. If you have a spreadsheet with their name and email address, I can go ahead and create their student membership pretty quickly and easily for them. So it's just a great way when you're there quickly. I take an iPad with me. You can do this on a laptop. We also have the QR code out on the table for people to scan and do this on their phones. I do recommend having a device, because how many times have you scanned a QR code, put your phone in your pocket, kept going through your event, and by the time you got home, that page is gone in your phone, whether you forgot about it or you close it out or anything like that. So have a way for them to reply right there while they're talking to you. You'll get a much higher response rate. All right, in marketing, excuse me, in marketing materials, of course, we've got the flyers, separate flyers for students and for professors. Those look really nice, and we're keeping them up to date about every year or so. We also knew this year we got these magnets. So it's got all the dates for students through this academic year. So you'll see the last one is March through June. So we would like to unload these as quickly as possible. We would like to send them to you. We gave away a ton of them at BAP last week or 2 weeks ago, and the students and professors were very excited to get them. We do currently have a limit of 5 in the system. If you know more than 5 professors that you want to give this to, just send me an email and we'll talk about how many you need. But those are available in chapter resources, and we would love to get them out to you before the information on it is no longer relevant. All right, we do have a general slide deck. This is what I used at BAP 2 weeks ago. The session was called Careers in Government, What's in it for Me? It's an overview of government financial management and opportunities. It does impress upon students that things like USA Jobs can be very difficult to get your name actually through the process. So having a network and being able to see those people at a lunch and learn is a great way to make sure your application gets to the top of the pile, or that somebody goes in and looks for it. And sort of along the same lines, professional association is your best in. It does touch on CGFM and the importance of having a certification or why to pursue a certification. This is approximately a 1-hour presentation. This is new. A couple weeks ago, I had an office that has a bunch of interns ask if I would please tell their interns what they get with free student membership and sign them all up. So that was a great way to meet with them and just go over what benefits we offer, the same competitions and scholarships that we touched on before, ways to network with their chapter, just what we offer. So there are 2 versions of this. First, I made it for students, and then I retrofitted it for professors. It's all the same benefits. It's just a different angle based on whether they are just starting out or we want them to disseminate this information to their students. All right, that is the end of the meat of the presentation. Don't forget, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. The 2 recruiting challenge kickoff calls are identical, so you only need to attend 1. And all things website. I know we're getting a lot of website inquiries. I would ask you give us just 1 more week to get those kinks out. We are working nonstop on the website, and it's going to be great. It's already feeling much better. We like it a lot, and we are working to get it to a place where you will like it too. So with that, we'll take questions, and I think I'm going to turn it over to John if we can hear him.
Well, thanks, Meredith. And I think just in sort of a closing out framework here, you've seen a lot of things here. Our ask is try one. Reach out to somebody and do it today. Ethan, talked about some examples that are there. We have lots of universities in your backyard. Google your local BAP chapter. Follow what Meredith did. Do one thing, because the students are an absolute critical pipeline for us over time. And if you can get into a university or a college and you can create a positive feedback loop, you're going to get reinvited, and reinvited. And that's really the key element here. Your local area is best. Let us know where they're at, where they can be. We know that next year Beta Alpha Psi is going to be in Baltimore, and we're already planning what we want to do with them there. And so this is the perfect opportunity to get engaged, to highlight what can work from that perspective. And so please lean in. It is a critical partnership for us. It is a great pipeline for us. There are already students who have self-identified as interested in the finance community. So the skill sets they're learning are applicable, whether they're working for a Big Four or working for a local government entity thinking about the future of wastewater. Those are really critical skills, and we need it right now. So we're trying to push it out there. You've got tons of people here who are ready to support you. Jump on a Zoom call, schedule a way to talk to students, whatever it takes. The last little note I would say is all of them love LinkedIn. And so if you haven't had a chance to refresh your LinkedIn profile or take a look at it, great time to do it. You're going to get tons of traction on there. It makes you feel good when people are clicking on your LinkedIn anyway. So it's a great positive feedback loop there. But find a way to connect, and that LinkedIn is great because once you do it one time, you can track them. They're going to see your posts, and you're going to create that virtuous feedback loop as you're planning future sessions. So it's a critical element. We appreciate you taking the time here, and we're here to support.
On that note, I do have a slide about LinkedIn. I was going to skip it for time, but we do have time, so I'll share this quickly. If PowerPoint will let me also use Zoom. Here we go. All right, I learned this maybe last summer, maybe must be 2 summers ago, because this is 2023. If you have the LinkedIn app on your phone, and the students are so fast with this, they will just come up to you with their phone camera at the ready. So I want you to know about this in case that happens to you. If you open up your LinkedIn app, the search bar just looks plain. If you tap inside the search bar to where you get the flashing cursor, you'll get this kind of QR code icon. If you tap on that, then it takes you to the screen where you have 2 options. You'll have your code that they can scan with their phone camera, or you can click scan to scan their LinkedIn QR code. So that's a really quick way. I've seen that a ton, not only at that, but also on campus last night. I think like 5 people scanned my LinkedIn just while I was at class last night, in between, like on the breaks and after class. So that's a really great tool, like John said, for them to keep seeing your posts. I forgot to mention this on the communications slide, but all of the AGA national posts are fair game for you to share, repost, use. That's what it's there for. We just ask if you use the images, don't alter them in any way, but you are welcome to share on your networks. And just going back to what John said about the circular nature of it. Some of my favorite interactions with our scholarship recipients have been when they come up to introduce themselves to me, or I'm introducing myself to them, and they say, I don't know if you remember so-and-so who got this scholarship last year, but that's who told me about it. And just that they already feel at home because their buddy has already done this with us. That barrier, that level of intimidation is already gone because their friend has come and given it such a great endorsement. So, questions? You can come off mute, you can put it in the chat.